Hi, I'm Jessica Rudnicki with Reynolds and Reynolds. Welcome to Connected. Today we'll be talking with LG Bright, Associate Professor and Department Chair of the Automotive Marketing and Management Program at Northwood University. Reynolds and Reynolds has a long-standing relationship with Northwood, and we really take pride in supporting their mission to develop well-rounded automotive professionals. LG is here to talk with us today about that mission and the role retail automotive plays in it. Let's get connected. LG, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jessica. It's my pleasure.
Northwood has been a leading educator for students who want to work in the automotive industry. So when I looked at your programs online, it was very easy to see why. And I was very impressed with the wide range of subjects available to students there. So can you tell our viewers a little bit about how you approach giving your students a well-rounded perspective on the automotive industry?
That'd be awesome, Jessica. We approach it from industry news. The first thing that we want our students to do is be current. And how does the whole industry ecosystem, how does it relate to dealership operations? So how does it relate to sales, and how does it relate to service and parts, the used car, finance, and insurance? So it's the profit center model, it's the industry, it's what's current, respect for the past, eye for the future. So I know that sounds kind of like a playbook, but it's the script that we use, and it creates repeatable processes for us.
That's great. And I love that you say playbook. We actually have a playbook here at Reynolds and Reynolds as well. And so all of the associates that are onboarded read through that playbook. And I feel like something like that is so important to be able to meet the goals of, why you're at the university or why you're working for Reynolds. So I love that you mentioned that.
Yes.
LB, why do you believe it's critical that your students there at Northwood have a complete understanding of the industry? So you mentioned that you keep them current. Why is that so important?
It's important because this is something that they're choosing to get into. For them, they're going to start at step one. So wherever the industry is at that point. And a lot of people on the outside would recognize the OEMs. They don't recognize General Motors and Toyota and Honda and Ford. We go beyond that. Certainly, that's a big part of it. The manufacturing, the assembly process, but our students are going to manage and market in the industry beyond the OEMs. In most instances, and be on the retail side of the business. And so it's really, really important for us to look at what they're doing and then how that's going to affect us. And a case in point would be electric vehicles. How is that going to affect the retailer? And then beyond even the new car dealer is the remarketing that happens, once you own a vehicle, whether that goes back to a franchise dealer or goes out back out into the independent used car dealer. And beyond that, the aftermarket. So the not only the supplier base that a lot of people would recognize, but the tuner base or the retrofitters or the accessory centers, wheels and oil changes, and just a number of different roles that students might find them in, that here at Northwood University, we can give them the critical skills that help them be better managers, better marketers, and in many cases, entrepreneurs. They're going to have that independent aftermarket shop. They're going to have a used car dealership, or they're going to manage and maybe own a new car dealership, working with not only the manufacturers but suppliers and vendors and all the other things that make this such a great industry.
I love that is so awesome. I love that you mentioned all the different things that you cover, like you said, from the OEM to the aftermarket parts. So it certainly sounds like this exposure to, the full automotive spectrum makes your students, more than prepared to tackle the challenges of today's auto industry. And I think it's worth noting, I was looking at your website and your curriculum and a couple of different things, that 100% of your students in the automotive program have an employment rate post graduation, which is amazing. So 100% of your students that are in this program go on to get jobs in the auto industry. So I thought I wanted to share that because I think that's just so amazing. And I also kind of wanted to circle back. So I heard you mention retail automotive, and since our viewers and listeners are primarily based in retail automotive, can you give us a little bit more detail about how retail automotive specifically fits into your approach at Northwood?
Yes, so we love the fact that we're teaching what happens in a dealership to our students. Um, they're going to go into variable operations, and the great thing is we know not only have it in theory, we have it in application. Reynolds has been just a great partner. They're going to go into a Reynolds lab, and the things that we've lectured on, or we've had a great guest experience in the classroom, they then go into the lab and see what happens from the dealer management systems. So, what a controller looks at, what a manager of variable ops, the new car manager, general sales manager, used car manager. Our students are exposed to fixed operations, which the service and parts department, exposed to F&I. In fact, our students are AFIP certified when they get done with the program because they've been through an AFIP certification class. So a little different exposure to the retail environment in that we're specific around retail automotive. Our students are going to know the language, the terms, the terminology, and the concepts that happen inside of a dealership. And we think that that's great, even if they find themselves in a position that calls on dealers. So you're working for an insurance company or a finance company, a bank, and you need to know the language of the dealership. When they walk into that controller's office and say, "Hey, I need to pull a report," our students have done that in our Reynolds lab. They've actually, pulled a report. They can get an inventory report. We can talk about aged inventory because we've done this, and so you think it gives our students a leg up. And back to that 100% employment, they start with sales. Their resume is a sales tool, and so when I get in front of one of these great retailers or somebody in the automotive industry, they can speak to what they did right here on campus. An internship is a requirement for us. So they've worked with some of these great retailers out there already and can talk about their experiences that have happened in the classroom and in our lab environment.
That is so cool. And I think it's, you guys are based in Midland, Michigan. I think, especially for our Michigan dealerships, something to really look out for is, recent graduates of Northwood University in the automotive program, because they are so prepared to go into the real world. So thank you so much for sharing that. And then kind of staying on this topic of retail automotive, it's obviously very close to our heart here at Reynolds, and we're very proud of our partnership with Northwood. Can you give us a sense of how your partnership with us has benefited your students? I know you mentioned a little bit that they get exposure to different programs within the labs. How else is your partnership with Reynolds benefiting your students?
Well, it's exposed them not only to great technology. So it begins with the DMS system, but additionally, other technology, add-on auto, the DocuPad. These are all great things that our students are exposed to. But Reynolds has been so good to us in terms of giving us career preparedness tips. Having guest lectures come into our classroom that are certainly talking about the opportunities that are available at Reynolds, but they're also taking the opportunity to say, "Hey, here's some interview tips. Here are some resume tips." And so we appreciate that partnership, and we realize that is because of the partnership. And we try to tell the students to have that attitude of gratitude, that here is a way that you can connect and ask a question in a safe zone with somebody who is a partner that's going to give you career advice. And so we're very appreciative of that. And then the students get a chance. This podcast is a great example of that. We try to connect the students with all the great information that comes out in the blogs. Get a chance to see the executives at NADA in the Reynolds booth, and so it's been a great partnership that we're known to each other. And so when the students go through that booth, they say, hey, mom, dad, especially if they come from a family dealership, we had Reynolds in class. We've been into the lab. So it's meaningful. And we don't take that lightly. We try to treat it with the respect that it deserves.
Well, thank you very much for that feedback, and the partnership is mutually beneficial, and we appreciate you at Northwood University so much as well. Now, you did mention NADA, and I kind of want to touch on that a little bit too, because I
Mhm.
saw, you send your students to NADA to kind of network, get a feel for, the automotive industry and things like that. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience for your students?
Yeah, we're proud of our relationship with the NADA. So many of our graduates are associated with the NADA by their entrepreneurial efforts, by ownership or investment, going through the various opportunities the NADA makes available. But at the convention itself, there's only three badges. There's a dealer badge, there's an exhibitor badge, and there's a Northwood badge. And so Northwood selecting or excuse me, NADA selecting Northwood years and years ago as a retail automotive school, that history is one that we tried to respect, and we're appreciative to them for giving us that space, making the opportunities available to our students to be on the convention floor. I'm teaching or talking to you today from the NADA building on campus, and again, when we see our students that have risen to president of NADA. There's just an amount of pride that comes with that.
That is amazing. LG, before we wrap up here today, I want to give you the opportunity to share anything with our audience that you feel like they should know or take away from today.
Well, thank you very much, Jess. First of all, I'm appreciative of this opportunity. Second, Northwood University is about experiential learning, and so the experience that these students get out in the industry is like no other. Gives us a competitive advantage, and again, we respect that. We're appreciative of that, and we try to honor that through the way that we conduct ourselves, both in the classroom, in the lab, and doing the things that we do here on campus. The biggest thing for us, the biggest halo event, is our Northwood University Auto Show, and all of this experience kind of points to those dates in the fall. It's TBD right now as we come out of the pandemic, but sometime in late September, early October, the students will put it all together and have the world's largest entirely student run North America auto show. And we're looking forward to that. We appreciate everything that Reynolds does to support that. We've had in the past our VIP speaker be an executive from Reynolds, and that's always important to us. So we just want to thank you for this opportunity today, and we're going to continue to do the great things that we do, and continue to look to the future for our students.
Wonderful. And I do want to give you the opportunity too. So for our dealers watching today, where can they find more information on either Northwood or this auto show?
The best place is northwood.edu. That's northwood.edu. And there you can find information on the automotive program. You can find information on the auto show and all the other wonderful programs that we have on campus. We're a business school. And so all the different things that are happening on our beautiful campus in Midland, Michigan can be found at northwood.edu.
Awesome. LG, thank you so much again for coming on the podcast today. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, Jessica. I appreciate this opportunity.
LG was a fantastic guest, and we here at Reynolds look forward to continuing to support Northwood and educating their students about the ins and outs of retail automotive. Before we hop off, just a quick reminder, you can watch or listen to past and future podcast episodes on YouTube or Apple and Spotify podcasts by searching for the Connected Podcast. Subscribe on these channels to get notified every other Wednesday when new episodes are released. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks.